And we're going to take you to live pictures now of the British couple. I'm not sure if... Are these live pictures? Can we confirm that? These are indeed live pictures of the British couple, Peter Reynolds and Barbie Reynolds. We can see Peter on the screen there, who have been flown safely out of Afghanistan, where they had been detained by the Taliban.
Yeah, Peter is 80, his wife Barbie is 76. They were detained by the Taliban on February the 1st and moved to a maximum security prison in Kabul the following month. They were released this morning and flown to Doha after mediation led by Qatar. In a statement released by the Reynolds family today, they said they were overwhelmed with gratitude and relief, and the couple have been released after 7 months and 21 days by the Taliban. This is a moment of immense joy for our family, and we are deeply thankful to everyone who played a role in securing their release, the family have said.
So we're looking at live pictures here in Doha of the Qataris welcoming Peter and Barbie into Qatar just as they acclimatise to life out of prison before they make their way back to the United Kingdom. But of course, this couple lived in Afghanistan for 20 years. They decided to stay in Afghanistan after the Taliban took back control of that country. Clearly huge risks to, frankly, a terror group running a country with the arbitrary rule that they exercise over people who live there, and just the most torment for these two British parents and I believe grandparents too.
As well, and obviously at their ages their health isn't the greatest. I mean, they have Afghan citizenship and they were running a charity programme in the country approved by the Taliban when they took power in 2021. It's curious. We're not quite sure what they were actually held for. They don't appear to have broken any rules, but this is the Taliban. A statement has been issued saying, we see no reason why this elderly couple should have been detained at all, and have requested an immediate review of the grounds of their detention. This is a spokesperson for the UN. It is inhumane to keep them locked up in such degrading conditions, and more worrying when their health is so fragile. Peter had a mini stroke in 2023 and is believed to have had another one or a silent heart attack, while lack of food and sunlight during imprisonment left his wife suffering dizzy spells and numbness due to anemia. It is absolutely the most horrendous story. But, you know, the most amazing story about this, Tom, is they are retaining their Afghan citizenship. And when she was asked if she would consider going back to Afghanistan, Barbie said, "We are citizens, and yes, we would."
I mean, just the most extraordinary story here. Of course, they are in Doha as we speak, this for medical checks before they return to the United Kingdom, and they can really settle in. But greeting family out there in Qatar as well. It really does speak to the quiet diplomacy that the Foreign Office does each and every day, and the crucial relationship with Middle Eastern countries like Qatar that can act as intermediaries between the British and the Taliban to get deals like this done. Now, we don't know exactly what the terms of their release were. I mean, what has Britain done in order to secure this?
Hello, I'm Bev Turner. Now, it can feel like the money in our bank accounts at the moment does not keep up with the cost of living, and maybe there's a solution. I'm here today with the CEO of TallyMoney, Cameron Parry. Cameron, what is TallyMoney?
Well, Bev, with TallyMoney, you get a current account and a debit card, but instead of pounds, you use milligrams of gold as your everyday money.
So why gold?
Gold traditionally is a great store of value. It has, on average, gone up at over 11% per annum for the last 25 years against the pound. It's tripled in value in the last decade. And in the last 2 years alone, it's increased by 50% against the pound. Banks' savings products just can't compete with that level of growth.
But this isn't just about gold. This is about a currency that you guys have created at TallyMoney. Explain it to me as though I'm an idiot.
So, look, people need to be able to hold their earnings and build their savings in a money that retains its value and remains in their legal control and remains theirs to access, away from government control.
Great. You had me at not exposed to government control.
You should feel safe and happy with your money. You should have peace of mind the more money you see in your bank balance, and that's the type of thing we're trying to deliver, and give people choice in the type of money they get to use every day.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Cameron. Thank you.
big questions there. Charlie Peters, our national reporter, joins us. You've been following this story, Charlie. What more can you tell us?
Well, I think that question, what was said or done to secure the handover of this couple, is really critical. And it comes, obviously, less than 24 hours after Donald Trump let slip, almost, in a press conference yesterday, that Washington is campaigning to recover the Bagram airbase, one of the biggest military air bases in the world, which he said is just an hour away from nuclear weapons facilities in China. So it's clear there is some ongoing, quite high-level negotiations taking place between Western powers and the Taliban.
Could money have changed hands?
It's not clear at this stage. However, we do know that the family said they did not want that to happen during the facilitation of their release. And what's unique about this case, Tom and Dawn, is that a lot of the time when we have British couples or individuals detained in Middle Eastern countries or in Central Asia in regimes, it's usually because they've contravened local custom or they are being used as political pawns by that state. And they don't necessarily have any great love for that state, those visiting it. In this case, though, I think some people are missing that this couple, they're British nationals, they're also Afghan nationals. They love Afghanistan. And on the tarmac in Afghanistan, before being retrieved here to Doha, we can see them now on different tarmac in a different part of the Middle East. We heard Barbie Reynolds saying, as they say in Afghanistan, God is great, and that she was looking forward to returning. They want to go back. This is a release, but in many ways, while they're happy, they would like to be in Afghanistan, maintaining the life they had before. It's also critical to recall that during the collapse of the Western-backed administration in Afghanistan in the August of 2021, British officials, as they offered every British passport holder, and indeed many people who didn't have British passports, to retrieve them and repatriate them, when that offer was made to this couple, they said no. They said, why would we want to leave during this country's greatest hour of need? And that will have added perhaps to the sense of support that the Taliban did originally and originally showed towards this couple, with Barbie Reynolds being given an additional level of commemoration and support during her role as they're running this rebuild charity. But clearly something recently went very wrong for that arrest in February.
Could it be that she is a woman?
Well, she was given an award by the Taliban, but as they were clamping down on the rights of women, there is a theory that she may have sort of like been disapproved of more because she was giving classes in motherhood to women, which, as we now know, is women are not even allowed to speak out there. So, Charlie, that may have been something to do with it, the fact that she was helping Afghanistani women. Yeah,
and the dozens of staff that they actually had in their charity disappeared practically overnight in the August of 2021 when the Taliban took over Kabul, and we see them now moving into a government room there in the cities. Those doors close on the international press to meet, we'd expect, with some of the mediators and teams involved in securing their release. And I should say, I think we'll expect the Qataris to make the most of this because it's an opportunity at the time when there is so much focus on their involvement between Hamas and Israel to show that they do retain that premier role as a link between the West, that bridge between more disparate and difficult to engage with nations. But on that point, Dawn, about the charity, most of their staff gone, so it's possibly the case that the Reynolds would have had a greater involvement and more frontline services that perhaps would have been more involved with local Afghans before that.
It is interesting. In an earlier interview this year, Peter Reynolds, that officer was separated while they were being held prisoner, described his living conditions in the maximum security jail as the nearest thing to hell I can imagine, and recounted being chained to violent prisoners.
That's a Puli Chakri prison, which is one of the most notorious in the world. And he described how his wife was being kept not so much as a cell, but actually in a cage, and how surrounded by mice and cockroaches. That was her daily experience. And they had one meal of some bread, some naan, and some green tea. That was the start of their day, and that was it. So very much conditions that have been described as inhumane and barbarous. He described it as hell on earth, as reported by his family members.
Extraordinary to hear some of the conditions within that prison. The fact that they chain prisoners not just to the wall or so, but to each other. And this man, whose only crime was being a charity worker in Afghanistan, was chained to a man who had killed his wife and 3 children. And I think he described it as something like being possessed by a demon, shouting, screaming. I mean, imagine being chained to a psychotic murderer for months. I mean, just the most extraordinary hell on earth.